Hello everybody. We're just about at the midterm, and I thought we would have a video that brings us up to speed as far as where we're at and where you need to be focused going forward. I want to talk about a mix of things in this video, things that you should be aware of at this point in the course. Now, I am absolutely committed to your success in the course. Every day I'm concerned about what needs to be done to ensure that you do well in the course, because my success depends on your success. So let's see what's going on at this point in the course and what needs to be kept in mind. One of the things that needs to be kept in mind is that we have a proctored midterm exam coming up, and most of the students have not completed the process of scheduling a proctored exam according to the process that needs to be followed. And so when you click here, you can start the process and complete the process of scheduling your proctored exam. Many students haven't done this yet. A bare majority have, but we're still waiting for about half the class to complete this process, and the midterm is coming up in just a few days. So remember, you can't pass the class without taking the proctored midterm exam, regardless of what your other grades are. So please contact me if you have not done so and don't have a plan to do so in the next, say, 48 to 72 hours. It's really crunch time for the scheduling of the proctored midterm exam. All right, now another thing I want to bring to your attention, you remember that there is a course schedule here that I think is very nice. And if you click on the course schedule, you get this screen right here. And it shows upcoming events, and then it shows your full schedule. And one of the things I want to bring to your attention is that we have not had a lot of things due in the month of September. It's been a bit easy for this last couple of weeks. And I don't want that to give you a false impression of what October and November are going to be like, because in October and November the pace is going to pick up a bit. And so you have to be mindful of that, and you have to be ready for the assignments. So just a little bit of a heads up there. Now, of course, in the next 7 days you do have a Unit 3 quiz, and that's all it says for the next 7 days. However, if you go to full schedule, that takes you back to the very beginning, and it's very good to go to full schedule so you can see exactly what you have to do and when you have to do it for all of the assignments in the course. Now, I want to draw your attention to the Unit 3 essay, which is due on September 30th, and I really went overboard, and I gave you 2 videos on this topic, on this assignment. And as a heads up, I'd like you to keep in mind that these instructions are written very carefully. They're written in such a way as to leave no doubt about what evidence you should include in your assignment. For example, these descriptions say you need to use the textbook. It also draws your attention to the readings in the assignment, which include, when I say readings, I'm using that term loosely, it includes documents, it includes videos, and it includes articles that are linked from the reading section of the course. And if we go up to here, you can see Unit 3, and when I say readings, I'm talking really about readings and resources. So the more of these that you read, these items under readings and resources, the more information you know about to enhance your essay. I was going to say the more information you can include in your essay, which is true, but I'm really concerned about plagiarism in this course. And so what you need to do is to make sure that you get ideas and information from these readings, but that you have to describe them in your own words so that I know that you understand the meaning of them. If you use quotations without quotation marks, that's plagiarism. And if there is any use of somebody else's words without proper attribution, then that's plagiarism. So We do check for plagiarism in this course. That is under assignments. If you go to assessments and you go down to assignments, anything that's an assignment is always checked for plagiarism. We also can check for plagiarism in the discussion assignments, but that is done in a slightly different way. But it's very important to protect the integrity of the grades of the honest students, because there is no way that I want a student to get, say, a high B when they have worked so hard on an assignment, and a student who just simply plagiarizes a source and then gets an A. That cannot be allowed to happen. So plagiarism is very important to check and to guard against, whether you're a student or an instructor. The more of these documents and sources you read, the better your essay is going to be if you can weave into your essay information from them. Now, of course, some of these documents don't relate to an assignment, but most of them do. All right, so that's an important consideration. If we go to the calendar under resources, and as I've told you before, I think list view is best. You can see the upcoming assignments. You can see that the midterm availability ends on October 9th, and you have to schedule a proctor before that time during the window when the midterm is open, but you have nothing else until October 20th due, and that's the Unit 4 quiz. But notice then a Unit 4 discussion comes up the next day, the very next day. Not too long after, you have a Unit 6 discussion. The Unit 5 discussion is actually available for a longer period of time than the Unit 6 discussion. Students sometimes wonder about that, but we do keep the discussion open for the same length of time. So the Unit 6 discussion must have been opened before the Unit 5 discussion for some reason. But keep those dates in mind, and you might have to read ahead as a consequence. Due on November 22nd, as well as the Unit 6 essay. So notice this. The Unit 6 essay and discussion are both due on the same day. Now, you don't have to turn them in on the same day. You can do one a week or two before the other. You simply have to plan ahead. Complete the assignment early in both cases, or at least in one case, and then you won't have them due on the same day. But if you wait until the last minute, wow, you got these two due on the same day. That's not something you want to do. You want to make sure that you space them out. I'm actually doing you guys a favor by putting these dates as late as they are, because that way you have more time to work on one or the other assignment. You decide. But it sort of means that if you don't do anything on them prior to, say, November 20th, then you got both of them due in 2 days. You don't want that to happen. So the Unit 7 quiz is due a few days later. The Unit 8 quiz a few days later, but not very many days later. And then the Unit 8 discussion is due just 1 week after these other two assignments that are written assignments are also due. So that's what I mean when I say that you have a lot of assignments that are coming fast and furious in October and especially November. But you can counteract that by planning ahead and doing some of the assignments earlier than others, even if they happen to be due the same day. Okay? So keep that in mind. So we are moving along, and that's great. And I want also to draw your attention to the fact that under grades, when you click on grades, you can see a column in your grade book for midpoint grade. That's going to show up in a very short amount of time, around the time of the midterm. And the midpoint grade shows you your midpoint average in terms of a letter grade. The midpoint grade is not a separate grade. It's not a new grade. It's not an additional grade. It simply means that this is the average of all the work you have had graded up to that time. And the reason for that midpoint grade is because we want students to know how they're doing so that they have time to correct any deficiencies. And so that midpoint grade really shouldn't be that surprising, because if you look at the very first column in your gradebook, it shows a running average in terms of numbers, a numerical average at any given time. So, for example, if you looked it up today, it will show your numerical average as of today. And if it's a 75, well, you know that's a C. Then tomorrow it may show a different number if something has been graded between today and tomorrow. And if it's an 81, that would be a B. So, in theory, I should not need to put a midpoint grade in terms of a letter grade, because you can calculate that every day you want to. But eCore does have this thing they call a midpoint grade, and so you'll see that show up around the time of the midterm, and I just wanted to remind you what that meant and what it doesn't mean. So it's supposed to be helpful to you. It's not supposed to scare you. It's not a different grade that is piled on the other grades. It's simply an average. So again, I hope that these reminders help you. And the most important thing I talked about in this video was the Proctored Exam scheduling process and the need to have that completed. And about half of you have either just started it but not completed it, even though you might have filled out some forms online, or you haven't even started it. So now it's crunch time to schedule the proctored midterm. All right, well, thanks for listening, and I hope you're enjoying the semester.